some people struggle to get jobs and some people struggle to keep them. It's not always about your skill. It's about how you show up. Okay. Your attitude, your consistency, your accountability. Employers aren't just hiring for what you know. They're watching how you carry yourself. That's what Real World Ready is all about. Being prepared for what actually matters. Welcome to Workplace Success. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I think, this is another chapter in, Collective Konversations, basically giving us something, a series that we can kind of expand on when we don't have guests around as well, but definitely to keep the brand going as far as, what we do. We do a lot of work skills. We do a lot of employment skills, education. So this is just something we came up with. And what workplace success, what's better than that? I mean, what's better than learning about it? And, today, and being an employer myself, what employers want, but they don't say. And it's, it's really something that can help people, I believe. Some of the things we're going to go over today. It's one of those things where, we think that we know, but sometimes we're not even looking. Sometimes they're not looking for just hiring skills. They're looking for attitude, reliability, and also they're looking for a mindset as well. So people don't get hired, or don't keep a job, not because they don't work, but it's all but the small things that they do that nobody ever even sat down with them and explained to them. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a lot of that as well. So we'll be breaking all that down, no sugarcoat, no guessing, right? We're just going to just talk about it, real talk, what employers want. What they want for this accountability that we're talking about, but they don't say it. And But today we're going to give you a little bit of it. So just starting out, what do we watch for before we hire? A lot of times employers are, kind of observing you even before you even realize they are, and that's one of the things that it talks about. And when does that start? The moment you hit the door. Let's get it right. The moment you walk in.
Well, in some cases, even earlier than that, you got some employers that be watching from the window or something like that. They watch you pull up in your car, you know. They might walk outside, see a car dirty or something like that. That's shot.
And I know
loud music or something.
Right. You just said, no, you're right. And also like we had talked on some previous shows about Facebook, Instagram, things like that, because I know your name, Michael Searcy, I know your name. So I'm, go a little bit of search, before you come in. So now I'm like, oh, and that's the thing. So you have to watch this, and understand that as well. And that's the thing, sometimes it says even when sitting in the waiting room, it's something that you talk about. Now, are you on the phone? Are you engaged? Things like that. So, first impressions are made in seconds. It's one of the things. And body language sometimes speaks louder than the resume does.
Yeah.
It really does. I never forget, and it wasn't even that. It was the fact that I had applied for this job. And I said something I shouldn't have said. It wasn't me. It was just a little, but I was in front of the president of the company. And I had said, I didn't know they had this branch. And he kind of looked like he was kind of, a little stuck back by it. I didn't get the job, but that was okay. Like I said before, I think, you have to understand that, that when you go in, it's respect, like, do you speak, to everyone? So it's not even just the boss, right? Do you speak to everyone? And that's, one of the things it says. So
something in the class, like in trainings that we have or in life skills when I'm working with people, and we're getting around to interviews and things like that. I've always noticed that a lot of the times people get stiff, they start talking a little bit more monotonish, and they start not moving around as much as they might normally would or something like that. And I'm kind of going with what you just said. It's like, I tell them, don't forget to put your personality inside of those rooms, or interviews, or, you going in to talk with people, whatever it might be, because no employer, if they got a well-oiled machine that's going over here, you could be the best candidate in the world, but if you're not going to mesh well with the people that's already here, if you're going to bring down production of these individuals, then it's not the place for you, even if you are.
You're right. That's it. Because, And like I did in that instance, some people talked their way out of a job even before the interview kind of started. And it was. I mean, it was a learning experience, but it was. I mean, it's like, because sometimes you don't know what they're going to ask, but sometimes maybe we just give them a little bit of what we ask with the personality. Don't get me wrong, but we just give them a little bit about what they asked for.
Yeah.
And do it that way. I mean, because that's the thing. You can be the most, talented person in the room, right? But if you're not dependable, you won't last long.
Right.
I mean, so that's a big key when we go back and thinking about some of the things we talk about. Being reliable, is more than anything. Is when it comes to that attitude is something as well. But that reliability is just something, because you can't, we can't count on you. How can we? And that's, and I know people, think about this when they say about being late, right? And they think it's nothing, or they think, oh, just a couple minutes. But how can I bestow upon these things that have deadlines, and you can't even meet the deadline to come in to work on time? So that's a big thing as well. And I always, one of the things even about working, I try to get to work a little early, because you just never know. And sometimes you cut it close, don't get me wrong, but because of traffic, things like that, something might happen, and then there we go. So that's one of the things, that I talk about, just trying to leave early enough so you can get to work. And that's a lot of it as well. Sometimes showing up on time is still one of the biggest things that employers care about. And it is. It is one of those things. I mean,
overall, like if we're speaking on things like that, skills needed, it's the soft skills, which for individuals that might be watching, you got soft skills, you got hard skills. Soft skills are skills that can be interchanged or used at any job. Everybody has them. You just kind of mold them with experience, if you will, like your some that we're talking about now,
right.
Punctuality, your communication, your work ethic, stuff like that. Whereas your hard skills are skills that had to be taught to you, a trade or things that you go to college to get degrees for, stuff like that. And in most jobs, it's not any issues that's going to arise with your hard skills that's going to, make you lose the job. It's your soft skills.
I mean, right.
Which I got right here, just so that we know the 10 most common reasons why individuals get fired from their job.
Okay.
So 1, poor attendance or tardiness. 2, poor work performance. 3, bad attitude or lack of professionalism. 4, insubordination. 5, violating company policies. 6, dishonesty or integrity issues. 7, poor communication. 8, not being a team member. 9, substance use. And then 10, social media or public behavior. Okay.
Let's go through those. I mean, what was the first one you said?
First one was tardiness and attendance.
We just said it. How can I be, how can I really think you're reliable if you can't even come to work on time?
Right.
And I got things I got to turn in or have turned in, and, can't, count on you to do them. I don't know if you're going to do them on time.
And when it comes to that, I've had some rough conversations with individuals when it comes to that, like tardiness or being late and stuff like that, where it's an accountability thing. Like, okay, yeah, we can say, like, if I called you're my boss. Okay. If I'm supposed to be here at a certain time, I called you, hey, I'm late for whatever reason, right? It don't matter what I say at that point in time. I'm not being accountable. Okay. I'm making an excuse for whatever might be going on. Now, yes, there can be an accident or something like that, or traffic or something like that pushes you back. But overall, that's not the reason that you was late.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
Overall, that was your responsibility.
I know we mentioned this before. Remember we did that class, and we had talked. There was accountability in the workplace, and then you had the scenario where they were stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Get them to understand that it wasn't. Yeah, I understand the traffic, but you didn't get up early enough.
Right.
You didn't get up early enough. You still could have ran into traffic, but you didn't even get up early enough to see, which now made you have to push the limit. Now here goes the traffic. Now stuff.
And I mean, stuff does happen. Yes, and I mean, the reasoning that you feel that you was late could have been because of traffic. It slowed you down. I get that. But speaking to an employer or something like that, a lot of people would say, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm late because so and so." Don't matter. I'm late. Won't happen again. That's me being accountable.
You just said that's the key. And I think, to me, being an employer, I think even, and I know I don't want 1,000 calls, but even if you do say, listen, I'm going to be a little late, that is taking responsibility. I am going to, instead of just showing up late.
Right.
And being like, and then roll in like everything good,
Yeah.
like I said. And it's, it goes both ways. But that, going on to the next one you were talking about.
The next one would be poor work performance, missing deadlines, doing the bare minimum, not improving after feedback.
Right. So the big thing, even with me, is like writing stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do it. You know what I mean? And when I see that, you're writing a lot of things down, then when I come back to you, then how? See, it's not the fact of making a mistake. That's one thing. But if you never wrote anything down, you don't have instructions to, to be able to make a mistake. You're just trying to go off what you think I said. But that's a lot. And you can do that even, on things, when we talk about it. It's a lot of things you might think, you said, or and then that's not really what happened. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things. So it's like, we have to be able to, be held accountable, but we have to also be able to what? We have to be able to write good, definitely follow instructions.
Which another added thing that I will say that it says behind this poor work performance is the one on this list that is the most quiet firing reason, the one that you will hear about the least, which is maybe individuals that may have been fired or things like that at times. Like maybe think about it. Think about the situation. How much do you actually know about the reason behind why you're getting fired? Did they tell you? Did they not? If they did not tell you, then think about situationally the things that you were doing in the workplace.
Right. Right. You're right. That's a lot of it as well. What's the other ones?
Next one would be your bad attitude or lack of professionalism.
And that, like it's, and that could be, now that's why I'm glad we have what we have as far as, with Donkey and, teaching, children, adults, teaching them how to act in a, kind of workplace. Because if you don't know, then, and we had somebody that was being kind of loud in a job position. You had to really talk, but didn't really understand, this isn't outside. You can't even, do that, or, cutting up on the phone and stuff like that. It just don't work in a workplace. And that's, really going to be some things that are bad, that's what we try to, definitely work on. But it's just something you have to understand. It's not home. When you come to work, it's not home. I have to know that it's not home, right? I have to know that it's exactly the same thing. So what I'm putting out has to be, and that's one thing about bad attitude. You think there's days, and I'll just tell you, there's days that if I do get frustrated, I'll just leave. I can though. And then maybe I can, because maybe I'm the boss. I can do that. But what could a person do who is having a bad day? Because that's sometimes we do have bad days.
Situationally, you could ask for a break, maybe,
right?
Things like that, or maybe ask to do a different task for the time being, or something like that. But definitely don't have yourself like almost like acting out of character, if you will, from
right.
like your regular, however you proceed inside of the workplace.
Right.
Because like there were levels to that bad attitude that they said. One was being disrespectful. One was arguing with your supervisors, and then the next one was like negative energy, being that Debbie Downer at that job. I don't want to be here. Oh, look, I'm in tired every day.
Right.
Stuff like that.
And I know this sounds crazy. So a lot of those things, even when your emotions are high, that's when things can get kind of taking a few seconds, like you said, taking a few seconds to calm down, breathe, right? Don't respond immediately to people and situations. I think is a big key to those things. Because that bad reaction definitely can have, create a big problem.
Worse problem.
Can.
Yeah. Next. Oh, my bad.
Oh, one time doing the bare minimum. You mentioned that.
Now,
you mentioned that doing that bare minimum. Now that's that's something that did this hard. Because it's like, just dropping, way below their professional, or just, giving them just enough. But I think sometimes our mindset is we are doing enough. And I'm not saying you're not supposed to think that way either, but you still should be able to be productive more than anything.
Right.
I think it's,
I mean, too, one of those things too is like everybody wants to get paid more. Everybody wants to make more. You know, everybody wants more benefits and stuff like that. And that's one of those things where it's like, yes, you're only really required to do the things underneath your job description. But for a higher up individual, do you think you'd be the first option to pick to move into that higher position if you do the bare minimum at where you're at now?
right.
You know, typically it's going to be that individual. Granted, for a time being, it might, I mean, situationally, of course, it might feel like the person is doing more than they're supposed to or more than they're getting paid for. But at the same time, too, if you don't do certain things or do your job to a certain extent, you know, you might not have that opportunity or be given that opportunity to move up because they don't see a reason to, you know?
Right. Because, you know, it's not always about being great, but being steady.
Right.
Being steady is a big key, you know. Like I said, everybody's not going to be at their best, you know, every day, but they can still keep it steady and do the things they're supposed to do. And I think that works a lot better as well. I mean, I do. So, man, that, you know, you can go on. That was just one I was thinking.
Next one would be insubordination, number 4, which is ignoring instructions, saying things like, that's not my job. Okay. And then challenging leadership in the wrong way. Okay. Because there are times maybe the word challenging would be used, but there's ways to discuss, you know, not necessarily challenge.
It's not funny. It's happened a few times here. It's not funny, but it's not. But what I realized was it wasn't even the matter at hand of that. It was just other things building.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been some outside stuff because I don't, you know that I'm not in your face like that. But I do know that people sometimes do have bad days. That's why I rather, you know, not engage during that time and, you know, kind of confront people in that time. Yeah. And, you know, just go back and, you know, talk about it at a later time. I mean, that's one of the things we try to work on, you know. Yeah. You know, so communicating, I'm not, you know, really feeling my best today. I'm still trying to work though. You know what I mean? Saying things like that, you know. I may be a little quiet, but I'm just focusing on it, getting everything done. Yeah. Those are just some things to tell the employer. So you're really not oversharing, but you are kind of telling them, you know, listen, I'm just trying to, you know, get through the day, you know, and do what I need to do. But that's for sure. That's just showing you some accountability.
There's a difference between defiance and advocacy, you know, and a lot of times that's tone and body language and stuff like that, you know. No. So, I mean, definitely something we all got to be mindful of in those heightened times because, I mean, typically individual gets a little bit more heightened. All right, now they might start talking with their hands more, you know, than they typically would because some people already naturally talk with their hands. But they might start doing stuff like that. They start moving around a little bit more, you know, tongue gets a little bit more heightened. Then at that point in time, it gets more defiant than advocating for yourself.
No, you're right. And that's the thing. It's always in that proximity type of thing as well. Like I was saying, it's not as hostile here, but I'm sure in some places they do. That's why I was wondering about that. Let's say on the internet, you see like people, you know, in some restaurant or something like that, really get into it, but the, you know, stabbing them. I mean, where did we get there? I mean, that's all way.
I can even say, I've seen get pretty heightened at times on road construction jobs, you know, which I mean is definitely a field where like the language and vocabulary that you use is definitely not the same.
But everybody has a different line though, right? And then, but now I'm bringing in, you know, some problems from home.
Yeah,
I don't really want to play today.
Yeah. And then you figure too, it's one of those things where like, I mean, like I said, this is a field thing, but like it's still something that everybody or most people have to deal with at their job. Like you spend more time with these individuals than you do like your friends and your family. You know, especially road construction, you working all day, you know, 6 days a week at times. You with them way more than your family, you know, so you have them like brotherly conversations at times.
So you see them already, you know, seeing them and, you know, controlling your environment, right? Mm-hmm. You on that road, you can't control it. I mean, because first of all, the environment already got me. It's hot, you know what I mean. It might not be hot today. It's a good day today, but the day's coming, and that's the thing. It's like, so I definitely don't, and I usually, and not being funny for me as an employer, as an employee, in the past, I try not to play with people, and here's why I say it, because definitely now, but even before, because I just know that a line could be crossed and you could be, but if I always stay just kind of neutral or whatever, I ain't saying that, not say a joke or something like that, but I'm just saying like joking with people all the time. So yeah, it's just sitting there, you good.
You don't never know when that line is crossed till it's crossed.
Yeah, I had somebody do it, and it's like, it's not good, man. Yeah. It's not good at all. So but that's just one of the things. Go on with what other list you got?
Next one, you got violating company policies, phone use when not allowed, dress code violation, and then violations to safety rules.
See, that's a no-no. Out of all those you hear that safety.
And then it says this one is especially apparent in workplaces that involve cleaning, food service, and healthcare.
It's just you can't have it because it's gonna get somebody hurt. Yeah. And that's why you can't have it, and that's the thing. So those things have to be paramount. All the things you said there too, but definitely the safety part is one thing. Because as an employer, you're always thinking of safety. You're always thinking of keeping people safe, right? And and you do think of liability, but for me, more than anything, I'm thinking of that person's safety too. Because I don't want to fail them because I didn't, take the proper precautions and to do the things we need. So that's one of the things we talk about as well.
Yeah, overall on that phone usage, it's just bringing down productivity.
Oh man,
bringing down efficiency.
Yeah, it does.
Dress code violations. That's just staying on the line of professionalism. If you can't follow a dress code, are you able to follow other rules inside of the workplace, or are you able to be trusted with certain things if you can't follow the dress code? And a lot of places. Same thing with like your punctuality thing, right? You sign an employee agreement saying that I'm going to do these things, and that's a contract just like any other contract,
It's no different. And that's what I think whenever when you say that, it means like, what do you do? But you have to understand that, that's the employer, that's their wishes. And you need to respect those. And if they want you dressed in a certain way, that's it. It's a reason why, though. If you have certain jobs, I can imagine going out on a road crew with wing toe shoes. I just couldn't. You can. It's gonna be a rough day.
Yeah.
And so one would say, well, look, I'm business, yeah, but we got to do payment and stuff like that. That's not gonna be, and that's the thing. But really getting and asking the questions that you need to ask to an employer if that's the case. Like what are we wearing and things like that. Somebody asked me that today. What we wearing, and they told them, how would they ever know if you didn't tell them? And that's the thing. So it's like and here we dress down a lot, but then sometimes like when we have trainings, we don't. Why? Because to me, you want to present it as being professional. I'm not saying what I mean. If you look at me now, you might not think it was doing better. I got sweatpants on, but I think, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, I think that getting that down and getting that, definitely the way it needs to be as far as with the dress code, it's a big thing. But always asking questions to see if that's one of the things. Because sometimes you put your best foot forward. I say business casual. Well, I never really asked you. You only have jeans. You don't even have any khakis, So it's like, and then how can I get, that's what I got on, that's what I got in my house. It's just one of those things as well. So having that, definitely having that.
Something I'm gonna add just to this whole section, violating company policies, especially to the younger individuals. I feel like older individuals are always more likely to read information given to them. Younger individuals, read your employee agreements. Read these things as they're given you. Actually read information and where you're signing your name down. And don't just skim over it. Don't just, because there might be some policy in there that you might not agree with.
Right.
There might be some policy in there that it's just rough, or you might need an accommodation for something. So actually read these things.
I think in my time being an employer, I've made several mistakes, and a lot of them is the fact that thinking you would know that, that's the thing. So you have to just have the stuff in place so everybody can, you can probably relax off of it, but definitely have it, because relaxing off of it is a lot easier than not having it all, then trying to put it in place. So that's just one of the things, that it speaks about. And a lot of times, we'll go ahead and finish yours.
Next one. This one was big in independent contractors and things like that. Dishonesty and integrity issues, which would put in there lying about hours worked, stealing even small items, or falsifying documents.
Yes, that's a big one, brother.
Yeah, especially online about hours worked and of course stealing and all that. You might not look at them as the same, but they are the same. You're steal really. That might make you a white collar criminal.
And I know, it's like I said, for a mistake I've made, and that's the thing, and normally what I see is when they're going to do it, they haven't really put the hours down, daily anyway. So now they're just grouping them all together or whatever, and they're not even thinking. Yeah. It's one of the things like when I worked at Rest Care, they were saying about there's meds you have to give, not us, but the nurses would give. They said, but one thing an auditor would do is if, would really flag something if they took their medicine every day at the same time, or every day at the same time. Yeah. Because that's not even really possible to do. I mean, it would be a minute off or two. It could be 8:01, it could be 8:03, it could be 8 o'clock. But it's when you did it all across the line, somebody just filled all eights in there, or whatever, and that's just not it. So that's one of the things, when it speaks about those things as well. It's also work, when you talk about work and copy and paste and then things of that nature now, but you're not even looking at the fact that it says Mike and my name done. Right. You're looking at that, you just going on to the next. Attention to detail. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Next, you got poor communication, not keeping supervisor informed, not asking questions when confused, failing to report issues, misunderstanding instructions, and not clarifying. And silence can hurt more than mistakes at times.
And it does. I think it does. You have to be able to speak and talk, but the only time, like I always say, even here, I say, listen, I'm not upset because you make a mistake. Okay, I'm not. Now the thing is, but the mistake is made sometimes because you're not prepared. You didn't write it down. So now here comes the sixth time you're asking. Now, what would you feel like? Maybe you may not. If you write this down, you would have to ask me 6 times. I'm not trying to be funny or mad, but that's the thing. Yeah. Or you got to know what your, kind of your learning style. If your learning style, but don't try. Don't worry about being cool. If you got a book, hang on. When I like I said, when I was, first, really getting close to God, I wrote, and I still do, but not as much. I used to write everything down. Wherever I went, I used to write it down. And then I go back and look at it, and then you get a kind of deep. That don't mean that I shouldn't do it now, but I'm just saying it definitely gave me a foundation of the things that from different places I went. So I write it down, then I go back and look at it. So it was one of those things I do it. I used to do it at work. I still do now. We're doing a new something new here, and I'm writing stuff down and just gathering it up. I think it's a good thing. So you have to write stuff down. You got to communicate. That's a big key.
Yeah, especially when you don't understand something. Like I said, it's a different standpoint if you got explained a million times, But if you genuinely just don't understand something, get clarification. Only person that you're gonna hurt from not getting that clarification is yourself.
No, you're right.
And if it's going to help you in your endeavors moving forward, why not ask to figure it out? And what's the worst that can happen from you asking? They tell you no, and then you're sitting in the exact same point.
That's it.
Never anything wrong with asking. That's it. The next one would be not being a team player. Workplaces run on teamwork. So you're not helping others. You may be causing drama, maybe refusing to collaborate. And kind of as I said in the interviews, of bringing that personality, your actual personality out a little bit. Right. Employers value people who fit into the company culture.
Right. I mean, I'll even here I always say that we work with people, we serve people.
Yeah.
And if you're not a people person, I didn't say hit the door, but you got to at least learn to be, at minimum, cordial, helpful.
Basic customer service.
That's all. I mean, that's what we're looking at. I mean, like I said, that's, a lot of times we'll talk about that as well, but those are the things it talks about. Because, reliability is over talent a lot of times. It just is. You know what I mean? It is. I mean, and that's the thing. So being consistent, like you said before, asking the questions, doing the things you need to do, it'll be talent anytime.
Mm-hmm. Next. Now, this one isn't one of those soft skills things. The next two, I would say, is not one of those soft skills things, but basically all the ones before now, if you remember, is all soft skills. So work on your own personal skills. The next one, next two, first one would be substance use, and then the other one would be social media. Okay, both things that you would be involved with outside of work.
Hopefully. Not the first one.
Right.
But you're right. But let's get it right. I mean, let's get it right. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it is. It can
be back to that culture.
Can be a problem. You're right. And that's the thing, it's like, and people do it. I mean, like I said, people do things when they go home. I mean, and I don't know what, they're doing, right? But sometimes, not here, but it can spill into the workplace. And that's when you have to really watch it. I mean, so you have to watch things. But I don't work. I'm not at work. I get that. But what you're doing now can affect your job as well. Because if I'm not able to go in, I'm too sick from drinking or something, then look at that. I mean, now it is affecting you. I know we want to look at that like that. We won't get that deep in it, but it is a problem. I mean, it does, become more mature than anything. So you have to watch. I mean, and one thing about substance use is one trying to get through. There's a lot of times, I'll just be real quick, real brief, but there was times where my job, when I was working in foster care, my mind couldn't compute those things that I saw because it wasn't normal to me, right? So and I indulged a lot when that happened. I mean, I'm just telling you. So we're being real, right? I mean, that's it. I indulged a lot, and I'm not blaming the job, but it was just the fact of with the weight of what it was, weighing on me. That's why I know they do a heck of a job as social workers, but I know it was. I mean, it was one of those things where that's where my, getaway was, and it got to be a problem. Drinking and stuff like that got to be a problem. I'm not saying that it wasn't my choice. I'm not saying that either, but I'm just saying there's a better choice. There's a better choice than that. I mean, we could go into it a lot. I mean, we do sometimes, go into those things as well, but a job can, I'm so, grateful now we have a job on the other side where we can help people that voluntarily want help. I mean, and want to learn. We're learning in the process, but that's a good thing as well.
The last one, that's social media. Well, it's social media and public behavior. Okay. So, I mean, sometimes, people be outside, maybe fight video out of there, because what I say in the trainings, it's like, okay, most people I say probably seen a fight video somewhere. Okay. You might have not actually been watching it, you just seen it. All right. Any video though, say an individual had a McDonald's uniform on, it ain't gonna be that person's government name on the name of the video saying was in a fight. That McDonald's worker was fighting, or even like jokingly, how they'd be like FedEx, UPS drive by each other.
It was a serious situation years ago when, a death occurred, and and one of the consumers was there because the staff took him there, and that's just something that. What can you say?
Yeah.
What can you say? I mean, it's a lot. Like you said before, it's like. And I know the mentality you want, but no, I mean, it's several things I've heard or, experienced, but those are things you wouldn't believe. You're like, that don't even make any sense. But I'm telling you that it can, your personal life can spill over into your work life very easily if you don't have control of it. And that's, something. So get control of that. I know people want to you want to go to social media, you want to put what you're doing on there and show everybody, you might be hitting the blunt or doing this drinking the liquor and all this. They watching. I mean, the employers watching too. I mean, your friends might be saying, "Oh, that's turned up" or whatever, but they watching. So, I mean, maybe I can't tell you what to do on your page, but I mean, maybe you curb that if you try to, get to the professional realm. Hopefully, you curb it. Period. But if you don't, I mean, one of the things is you try to get into, profession, get a job, stuff like that. Clean up your Facebook. Clean up your Facebook name. Clean up your name on there that it says on there.
Emails, all of that.
Emails, of course, and as well. Clean up on that, and that's the thing. You gotta have, it's something about growth, right? And it's one of those things. But growth is earned, though. Yeah. It's not given. That's the whole thing. And sometimes leadership starts before the title, and that's something we have to kind of grasp as well. But I think by doing this, just giving you a little tip. It's by no means that we the experts, but I'll tell you what, experience is one of the best teachers you can ever have. And that's, something that I know I have, I know that's something you have as well. But like I said, sometimes it isn't the topic that grabs you, but we're in the realm of what we do, and that's what we talk about it a lot too. So it's like, it comes to fruition when you see it, like I was talking about the last episode we had last week, but it's when you see it, transpire and see the growth in youth or adults, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it really is. It's a beautiful thing. So it's a lot of truth in growth, and that's the thing, that we ask about, just definitely speaking about. So that that was the 10, and those are the 10 topics that could get you.
Those were the 10 things that would the most common reasons for people getting fired.
There it is.
Okay, which, like we said, 8 of the 10 were soft skills. It wasn't nothing about learned knowledge.
I mean, you're right.
It was all about the basic things that you do. Do you show up on time? Do you communicate? Is your outside life kind of with company culture, but overall, just, are you coming there to produce? Are you coming there to work?
Wow.
Are you being, I'm not necessarily a worker in the sense of like boss worker or anything like that, but are you coming there to be a worker in the sense of, I'm here to work?
That's it. I mean, you're right. I mean, that's the key to it. I mean, are you there to work? I mean, that, I'm glad we actually had the series. I mean, we'll continue it with some more titles coming up, but it's like, sometimes you got to think, if you're struggling to get a job, struggling if you have a job, thinking about what that might be. Am I consistent? I mean, let's think about it. Am I consistent? Am I reliable? Right?
Would you hire you?
Right. Am I coachable? Right? Or am I really, am I communicating? And if you're not doing those things, that might be what's going on. And that's you. I mean, we can comb it and blame. There's nothing, those things, being consistent, being reliable, being coachable, and actually communicating, those are things you can do. Those are things you can do. You tell you the truth. If you flip it around, you can do the communicate. Am I being consistent? Am I being reliable? Or am I coachable? Yeah. And if not, maybe we can change those things. I think sometimes an employer would rather see that than anything. But that sounds, like you said, that sounds is something. That sounds is something. It is, a lot of times, and I get it. But you have to speak up. You have to. And that's a lot of times when we speak about these things as well. We have to ask. Ask yourself, what just for those who had a job, what is something you wish someone would have told you before you had your first job? Because I know a whole bunch from me.
Oh yeah,
I know a whole bunch from me.
Leave your feelings at the house. That's mine.
But that's it. And have you ever lost a job for something small?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, God, by God's grace, I've never lost a job. I've quit a few, but I've never lost a job. And,
same here.
Right. So, but I can only imagine, right? I just think, I don't know. I just think that's, when they come to you with that, that's rough. I mean, sometimes it's money. Sometimes
there's also and this is a little different, but it's like the flip side of me too. Being that, anytime I've left a job because I found something different where I was going off to do something to improve. Okay. Outside of that, since I got a job, I've either been in school or I've been employed. Right. Okay. And so I say that because it's a different way of thinking, but in a way I commend those people who kind of like have that in them to be able to just quit a job. I can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't do it, and for an individual, like I even got friends who was like, man, they did this, that, and the third. I'm out of there. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like truly, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So like flip side, you shouldn't necessarily be that way, but just on a personal note, like I look at that and I'm like, wow.
Right. And like I said, I think, one of the things you can always think about is, what's one thing when you're employed, what's one thing I can improve on this week? I always think of that. I mean, I think of it daily. Don't mean I do it, but I think of it daily. I want to improve, because I know my improvement is going to help someone else as well. So, but I have to improve. I mean, I have to, and learn in different ways, to deal with people as well. I mean, and it's one of those things that I think a lot of us need to really look at. I mean, and understand, and that's why I said you're going to have bad days. But communicate with your boss. Communicate with your employer. Let them know, what's going on. I didn't say you had to tell them everything, sit down with them with 20-minute conference, but let them know what's going on. Let them know what you need, the work you need help with and things of that nature, so they can get you the help that you need. You just don't want, you lose the job just because of that reason.
Also, go to especially individuals who are employed by places that are like big chains and stuff like that. Go speak to your employers about different programs that they have inside of the business. Okay. A lot of places got, programs to help you work on and improve your skills, or things to help you, like financial programs to help you with like your budgeting and stuff like that. Right. A lot of places don't actually outright come up front and tell you that they have these things because they cost money. Right. But by request, a lot of businesses have those things for their employees. Right. So go talk to your employers just to ask, like, hey, what type of programs for employees do we have? You might find something that you'd like to partake in.
As we bring this to a close, I just want to say, thank you all. Like I said, this is our new series, accountability series. We're going to do a few episodes of this. Also, like I said, for workplace success, what we're working toward. That's the goal. So that's what we're going to keep going for. We've had a couple of events, just real quick, wrap it up. We had a couple of events the last couple of weeks, the Easter egg hunt, something like the Easter egg hunt. Also, the shoe drive or shoe giveaway that we had. And I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank those who donated. You just don't know. It means the world to me to know that people can help. And I know, economy is right now, so I get it. But still, just to dig down a little deeper, and give. I know you might not see it, but I really appreciate it. Because I know, like I said before, the gift of giving, and I know that. So that's a great thing. And I think all those who had, definitely done that today. Like I said, today I'm just grateful to be a part, of a nonprofit, and also working with other great nonprofits as well. We got a lot of things coming up. I do have to mention we have TSK Pathways. We have a workshop coming up at Mount Hope Community Center. That's April the 26th. It's from 2 to 5. We're going to have some good speakers there. Please come out and support. It's for the kids. So it'd be a great thing. Kids and adults will come because we're going to be there. Definitely listen to some great speakers as well. I'm talking about trying to, the youth opioid prevention and trying to prevent things from happening. We always try to be preventative. It's better to be proactive than reactive a lot of times. So that's a good thing as well. But this ain't, like I said, this series, the accountability series of Kollective Konversations. But we'll bring you something new next week, and have a great day.
Thank you.